Hello, I'm Chuck Phillips, South Alabama Home Inspections, and welcome to another edition of Southern Home Talk. And I'm in front of a 62-year-old home, and I've inspected, I can't remember how many, hundreds. And I have to say, of all the ones I've inspected in this age group, this one seems to be one of the better ones. But let's just go ahead and start walking. You can see it's got some grating issues, and it mostly grades positive to the front, but you can see where it's starting to wash out, and this driveway is starting to separate right there. And they did try to mitigate this to some degree by putting these rocks there, which is a good thing to do. The walls look pretty good. These holes you see is probably from where they did termite treatment on this at some point in the past, and those should be filled up. And so let's just keep on walking through here. This is the carport. It's got an attic entrance right there. And I kind of sort of noticed something earlier. See all this staining right there. And so what's happening, there's some negative grading on the back side of this wall. And so water's coming and pooling right there. It's also doing it there on the other side. And so let's just walk around. Actually, look. Check out this little cool door they made. So let's see if it works. I'll pull this thing. Yep. And fortunately, I believe that is fiber cement board, so that'll probably fare a little bit better with moisture, but it still should be above grade. And so that's where that, my theory of where the water is coming from is through the back side of this. And I think this may be clay city brick too. And so we're just going up to the roof. You can see where they put a lot of caulking around these windows, and the reason for that is this house probably had the old jalousie windows, and they're not standard size, and that's probably why they had to put so much caulk to fill that in. But all the windows open and closed. It looks like they replaced all the windows. We're looking at 3-tab shingles, which has about a service life of around 15 years. You can see they're starting to get brittle, and so this is probably going to need replacing relatively soon. And you can see some patched areas right there. That's lifted areas probably from a raised roofing nail. You can see, if maybe you can, it's kind of warped because this is where they added on a roof system. That's plywood over there and planking on this side, and they didn't put any ply clips between the span, and that's why that's warped. And this is how you can kind of sort of tell what kind of plumbing the house has. That's copper. So it's probably got copper and cast iron drain pipes, because that's what this is up here. That's cast iron. You can see all that sealant there, so they must have had a leak there. And this is probably the old vent pipe for the furnace. So it had natural gas at some point. All this roof moss. Don't let your roof turn into a chia roof. I mean, this can actually start damaging the shingles and the decking underneath it. You can see where they've added more shingles around this, so they apparently had a leak here too. But you can tell that they tried to keep this up. I got a missing shingle up here. Those satellite dishes are really vulnerable to winds, so they can damage your roof when they get blown off. Like I say, this doesn't look too bad. I know that there's a lot of people out looking for houses right now, and the way the market is and all. And I'll have to say this, that if I was out looking, I would probably buy this house. I mean, it's got the least problems of the ones I've inspected out of hundreds. It still has issues, but even brand new ones are going to have problems. It's got a new air conditioning unit. That's good. I believe this is where the main water line comes in. It's PVC. Now this service entrance is too low. That's a little bit of a safety issue. Those bushes should be cut back from the carport as well. It'll hold moisture back to it. These windows look relatively new, probably just a few years old, maybe brand new. And you can see where this was the exterior at one time, and that's the old service panel. That's also the main panel underneath it. And you can see where they ran PEX, and they did the right thing and put a cutoff valve there. Let's walk on inside. This is the laundry room, and of course the water heater does not work. And it's also got safety issues as well. I have a expansion tank, got exposed wires up there. And it's also too, this is what's called the temperature pressure relief valve. And that should have the right kind of pipe. It's PVC, and that will melt. And so that's wrong. This is the service panel here, or the sub panel. And it's not marked, but at least it's not Federal Pacific stab lock, and it's copper wire, so I don't have too big of a problem with this. It's old. And the laundry room, not too bad. I believe they changed most of the plumbing, except for maybe a few areas. The floors feel a little bit warped, and this is on a slab. And so let's go and look underneath here. You can see PEX coming in there, and see that accordion looking thing? Try to avoid those. They're prone to leak and more prone to clog. And you can see some moisture damage at the bottom of this. There again, this isn't too bad. One thing is the outlets in here are not ground fault protected, and they're also not grounded. But that's to be expected, because when this house was built in 1960, they didn't run grounded wire, so that's just what that is. And check out this old thermostat. Yeah. Okay, well, one thing that they did that I like, which some people probably wouldn't, is they actually left excess panels. Of course, they probably had to do this, but really you should have an excess panel behind your bathtubs, because it's just a matter of time for you have to replace faucets, that sort of thing. And so this has the old cast iron drain pipe and new PVC, and the white down below is actually the PEX. Now that thermostat doesn't work. That's the old one. They got a newer one in. But one problem is you can't access the HVAC system itself. This should have a door that opens, and they even painted the screws, so it's going to be a pain kind of opening that up to access that. Now another thing that's kind of rare, but I do find it occasionally, it's called these house fans. It's a whole house fan, and so what the deal is, you come up and turn the switch on, and those louvers will open up, and it'll pull air through the entire house. And really what that's designed for is for like the time of year we're in now, when it's real nice days, open up the windows and it'll just pull air through the house. It was kind of an ingenious idea at the time, but really this probably should be sealed up. And these old wood panel walls, they would cost a fortune if you had to put those in now. So we're in the bedroom at the front, and got the paneled closets as well. Got access panels for this old classic yellow tile bathroom, and it's still got the old exhaust fan too. It still works. Probably not as sufficient as it should be, but it still works. Yeah, but it tells you how good stuff was built back in the day. And that's the attic entrance there. And this is another bedroom. And out of curiosity, I was curious if this thing had a void under the house. And it kind of sort of does, but that's where they dug out to get to the sewer line. So I'm glad to see that it is slab there. So you can see where they did mostly repair on this. I mean, it's all mostly replumbed. At least it appears to be. Now, what you're looking up there is ceiling tile, and there's some probability that contains asbestos. You would have to send it off to testing to confirm that. But it wouldn't stop me from buying this house. I mean, pretty much all the research I've done with that, you pretty much have to grind on it for it to become a problem. That would certainly not interfere with me purchasing this house. Okay, now we're in the living room. Now, one of the issues this house has is there's a lot of step ups and step downs, which is really a trip hazard, but that's just what it is. There's some buckled areas of flooring in here. And this is where I kind of wondered where this part could be on a crawl space. And it still could be. I don't think it is. I think now what the problem with all this warping is a result of the front area. So let's look at that. You can see all this rain when it comes off that roof. It splashes, it gets to here. And then it just wicks through right there at the floor level. And it's coming in, and that's what's created at least that's what I believe has created the problem with this flooring in here. This range here, it works, but it wobbles because of the flooring. And this range hood's the original one as well, but it also still works. That's what's so cool about this. Yeah. So, just know that if you're looking for a home right now, especially if you're looking at these older ones, you're just going to have a fair degree of tolerance with issues. And I'm going to tell you, based on all the ones I've inspected, this is one of the better ones. It really is. But, the same holds true with these newer homes as well. Generally speaking, these older houses really do have good bones. I mean, I haven't found any kind of structural issues with this. The roof up there is hand framed. It's got planking for the roof decking. And it's old wood. And so that old wood is really hard and really strong. And one of the good things about buying these older houses is they have history. This has 62 years of history of being here. And so when I walk around these things and I don't see any significant amounts of cracking, that kind of speaks to this probably has already settled as much as it's going to settle. But you still want to maintain positive grading around the house, because you still can have foundation problems if you let a lot of moisture pile up against it. And so, I think the people who ever renovated this did a pretty good job and did the right things as far as repairing the stuff that should be repaired. It'd have been nice if they'd replaced the electrical too, but there again, at least it's not one of the old Federal Pacific stab lock panels with aluminum wiring. And I guess just to shorten this all up, there's nothing that would stop me from buying this house, based on all the ones I've inspected in the past. And I hope this little walkthrough tour has been somewhat informative to you. I'm Chuck Phillip with South Alabama Home Inspections. And sometimes I do follow up to these on the Facebook page, Southern Home Talk. So if you have Facebook, go and like that. And also subscribe to this channel. I try to put at least 1 or 2 videos up a week. And they're all focused to just the issues we have right here in the Deep South. Thanks for watching, guys. Take care.